Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that I know can be a little bit intimidating, but it's something we all have to deal with. Taxes.
That's right.
Specifically, we're going beyond just that basic, where's my refund tool, and really kind of digging into these things called IRS tax transcripts.
Yes.
You know, we actually had a lot of you request this topic because you want to understand a little bit more about what these transcripts are and how they work.
Absolutely.
Full disclosure, I used to think they were just these like super dry summaries.
Right.
And kind of boring, honestly. But then I was reading an article about how they're actually kind of like a secret decoder ring.
That's a great way to put it.
For your entire tax return. And I was like, okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah. And you should be, because they can tell you a lot more than you might realize.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is the tax transcript?
So a tax transcript, it's not the same thing as your full tax return, right? It's more like a condensed report that the IRS creates as they're processing your return.
Okay.
And it basically lays out the key actions that they've taken, any payments that you've made, credits that have been applied, and then, really importantly, it uses these special codes called transaction codes to kind of tell the story of your refund. Transaction codes?
Yeah. Those always sound a little intimidating to me.
Yeah, they can seem that way.
Yeah, like a secret language only the IRS speaks.
Yeah, but we're going to demystify them today.
Okay, good. I like that.
Yeah, we'll break down what those codes mean and what to look for on your transcript, so.
Excellent. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that there are actually different types of tax transcripts.
Yes, that's right.
What's the difference between those, and which one is the most helpful if someone is trying to, say, track their refund status?
So there are 4 different types. You've got the tax return transcript, the tax account transcript, the record of account transcript, and then the wage and income transcript.
Wow, so many options.
Yeah, each of them kind of provides a different level of detail for different purposes.
Okay.
But when it comes to tracking that refund, the one you really want to focus on is that tax account transcript.
Okay, tax account transcript. Got it. Now, how do I actually get my hands on one of these? What's the easiest way?
Well, thankfully, these days, it's really easy to access your transcript online.
Okay.
You just go to www.irs.gov. That's the official IRS website. And they have a whole section there for accessing your tax records.
And that's where you find the Get Transcript Online option, right?
Exactly.
No waiting for the mail. Love that.
Yep.
But hold on a sec. What about security? I'm always a little nervous about putting my personal information online.
Oh, absolutely. Security is super important.
Yeah.
You'll need to either log into an existing IRS online account, or if you don't have one already, you'll have to create one.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward to do.
Wow.
But you will need some information handy, like your social security number, your date of birth, your filing status, that kind of thing.
So there's a little bit more to it than just picking a fun username.
Yes, a little more involved than that.
Okay.
And there's also a quick identity verification process.
Okay.
It might involve answering some security questions or using some financial information just to prove that you are who you say you are.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, you'll set up 2-factor authentication just for that extra layer of protection.
Okay, better safe than sorry.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm logged in. I found that Get Transcript Online section.
Yes.
I've selected the tax account transcript. I'm looking at it, but it still seems like a lot of numbers and codes.
Yeah, and this is where those transaction codes really come into play.
Okay.
They're like little clues that are sprinkled throughout your transcript.
Okay.
And once you understand what they mean, they paint a really clear picture of what's happening with your return.
All right, so let's talk about those codes. If I'm looking at this transcript and I'm specifically interested in my refund status, what are some of the key codes that I should be looking out for?
Okay, so one of the first ones you might see is TC 150.
150.
And that just means that your return has been processed.
Okay.
You also want to look for TC 806.
806, right.
Which means that your federal withholding has been applied to your account.
Okay, so 150 and 806, those are good signs.
Yes, good signs.
But what about the codes? The ones that mean there's a delay or maybe a problem?
Yeah, no one likes to see those. But again, remember, knowledge is power, right? So knowing why there's a delay can actually help you take the right steps to get things moving.
Okay, that makes sense.
So one of the codes that you might see is TC 570.
570, okay.
And this one means there's a hold on your refund for some reason.
Hold on my refund. Okay, why would there be a hold?
There could be a few reasons. Sometimes the IRS just needs a little bit more time to review things, maybe verify your identity or double-check a deduction that you claimed. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem.
Okay.
But it's something that you definitely want to look into.
Got it. So TC 570, don't panic, but definitely do some digging.
Exactly.
What other codes should I be aware of?
Another one is TC 971.
Okay, 971.
And that one basically means the IRS has sent you a notice about your return.
Okay.
It could be requesting additional information from you or clarifying something. The notice will explain exactly what you need to do.
So that's my cue to check my mail or my online account and look for those notices.
Exactly. Yep. Those are important.
Okay. And then what about that identity verification code? The one that, makes you prove that you're actually you.
Right. That's TC 810.
810, all right.
And this is becoming more common as the IRS cracks down on fraud.
Okay.
So if you see that code, it usually means they need to verify your identity before they'll release your refund.
Gotcha. I've heard of this service called ID.me. Is that what they use?
Yes, that's right. ID.me is a secure way for the IRS to confirm your identity online. You'll create an account, provide some personal information, and then usually upload a photo ID, like a driver's license or a passport.
Got it.
It's actually a pretty user-friendly process.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the codes for processing, for withholding, for holds, for notices, even for identity verification.
Uh-huh.
This is already so much more clear to me than just looking at those codes and going, what does this even mean?
Absolutely, and there's even more we can unlock.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, remember that magic code that tells you your refund is actually on its way?
Oh, yes. The one we're all waiting for. What's that code?
That's TC 846.
846. Got it.
This is the one everyone hopes to see on their transcript because it means your refund has been approved, it's been sent, it's on its way.
846, the golden ticket.
Exactly.
Okay, but what if I'm looking at my transcript and I don't see any of the hold codes, but I'm also not seeing that magic 846?
Then it probably just means that your refund is still being processed.
Okay.
Remember, the IRS handles millions of returns, so sometimes it just takes a little bit of time.
Patience is a virtue, I guess, especially during tax season.
That's right.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground here in part one.
We have.
We know that the tax account transcript is really the key.
Yes.
To tracking our refund status. We know how to get it online, and we've even started to crack the code on what some of those transaction codes mean.
That's right.
So, are you feeling empowered yet?
I hope so, but we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. We'll be back in part 2 to talk about what to do if you do see one of those hold codes.
Okay, I'm definitely coming back for that.
Good.
Because I want to know what to do if I see one of those.
And we'll also talk about some alternative ways to get your transcript.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable going the online route.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll keep unraveling the mysteries of these IRS tax transcripts.
Good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into IRS tax transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
In part 1, we talk about how I used to get a little stressed out whenever I saw an envelope from the IRS in my mailbox.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Right. But after learning more about how to actually understand these tax transcripts, I'm feeling a lot more confident. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Right, B.
And speaking of knowledge, we also talked about some of those transaction codes that might indicate there's a hold on your refund.
Yes.
Like TC 570, TC 971, TC 810.
Right.
So in part 2, let's dig a little deeper into what each of those codes actually mean. And more importantly, what should we DO if we see one of them on our transcript?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with TC 570.
Okay.
That's the one that signals there's a potential hold or a review going on with our return.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that code on my own transcript, my heart kind of skipped a beat.
Oh, yeah.
But it actually turned out to be a really simple fix.
Really? What happened?
I made a typo in my social security number on one of the forms I submitted.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a really simple mistake, but it was enough to trigger a hold until I could verify everything.
Wow.
But once I corrected it, my refund was processed without any other delays.
So it's a good example of how, sometimes seeing a code like that, it's easy to freak out.
Right.
But often it's something pretty straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. The IRS just needs a little more info or needs something clarified.
And the tax transcript is a great tool to kind of guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, it's like it gives you that insight into what the IRS is thinking
I like that.
and what they need from you.
Okay, so hypothetically, let's say I see TC 570 on my transcript.
Okay.
What's the first thing I should do?
So the best thing to do is usually just wait for a little bit and see if there is an update from the IRS.
Okay.
They're usually pretty good about sending out notices, either by mail or updating your transcript online.
Okay.
So just kind of keep checking back periodically to see if anything changes.
How long should I wait before I start to, worry?
I would say a good rule of thumb is about 60 days.
Okay.
If you've been waiting more than 60 days and you haven't seen any updates, then it might be time to be a little bit more proactive.
Proactive meaning calling the IRS.
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for that.
I know, calling the IRS can definitely be intimidating.
Yeah.
But sometimes it really is the most efficient way to get the information you need.
Okay. Any tips for surviving that phone call?
Absolutely. Make sure you have all of your relevant tax information handy before you call. So things like your social security number, the tax year you're calling about, and of course, have your tax transcript pulled up so you can reference it.
That's a good idea.
And it's also always helpful to have a pen and paper ready.
Yeah, just to jot down any notes.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was TC 570. We kind of tackled that one.
Yeah.
What about TC 971? That's the one that tells us to check for notices from the IRS.
Right. So TC 971 is basically a heads up that the IRS needs to get in touch with you about something on your return.
Okay.
Could be something as simple as just needing a document to support a deduction that you claimed.
Okay.
Or it could be something a little more complicated.
Okay.
But the notice itself will explain exactly what they need from you.
So the main takeaway there is don't ignore those IRS notices.
Exactly. Don't just toss them aside.
Yeah, definitely not junk mail.
No, because responding to those quickly can really help speed up the process.
Okay, good to know.
And just as a reminder, you can always access those notices online through your IRS account if you don't want to wait for the mail.
Perfect. All right, so we've got 57971, and then there's that identity verification code, 810.
Right, TC 810.
What's the deal with that one?
So that one is all about preventing fraud.
Okay.
The IRS is taking those extra steps to really make sure refunds are going to the right people.
Makes sense.
So if you see this code, it usually means you'll need to go through that identity verification process.
And this is where that ID.me thing comes in, right?
That's right.
Okay, so just to recap for folks who might not be familiar with ID.me.
Sure.
It's basically like a digital passport for proving your identity online.
Exactly.
You create an account, you go through their verification process, and then you can use it, I think, for other government services too, right?
Yeah, it's not just a one-time thing.
Okay, that's convenient.
Yeah, once you have it set up, it can really help streamline your interactions with different government agencies.
Okay, that's good to know. So we've talked about the hold codes, what to do if we see them.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I'm looking at my transcript and I don't see any of those hold codes?
Right.
But I'm also not seeing that glorious TC 846, the one that tells me my refund is actually coming.
Yeah, good question.
What does that mean?
In that case, it likely just means your refund is still being processed.
Okay.
So it's easy to get impatient, especially when you're waiting for that money, right?
Yeah, it's hard to be patient.
But just remember, the IRS handles millions of returns, so it can take a few weeks for them to get to yours.
Okay, so just patience.
Patience.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Haha.
All right, so what about those people who might not be comfortable with the whole online thing?
Yeah.
Maybe they just prefer a good old-fashioned paper method. What are their options?
So the IRS actually offers a few different ways to get your transcript.
Okay, good.
You can actually request a copy by mail directly through their website,
Okay.
or you can call them at 1-800-908-9946 to have one mailed to you.
Got it. 1-800-908-9946.
Yes.
Okay, and how long does it usually take to get it in the mail?
Usually takes about 5 to 10 days for it to arrive.
All right, not too bad.
Yeah.
Is there another way to request it if I don't want to wait on the phone or wait for the mail?
Yes, you can also submit Form 4506T.
Oh, another form.
I know, another form, right?
All right, and what's that one for?
That's the specific form for requesting a transcript of your tax return. You can download it directly from the IRS website and just mail it in.
Okay, so 3 options. I can request it online, call and request it, or use Form 4506T.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so up until this point, we've really been focusing on using the tax transcript to, track our refund status.
Uh-huh.
But it seems like these transcripts can be helpful for, more than just that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're really versatile documents.
Okay, I like it.
And they can be helpful for all sorts of financial tasks, not just keeping tabs on that refund.
Give me an example.
Okay, so have you ever applied for a loan or a mortgage?
Of course. Doesn't everyone at some point?
Right. Well, lenders often want proof of your income as
Right.
part of that application process. And guess what? Your tax transcript can actually serve that purpose.
Really?
Yeah, because it's an official document from the IRS that shows your income and your tax history.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so it's a great document to have on hand for those situations.
Okay, cool. Any other scenarios where these transcripts come in handy?
Okay, so let's say you're self-employed or a freelancer or an independent contractor.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be a little tricky to verify your income.
Right, because you don't have, like, traditional pay stub.
Exactly.
Okay.
So your tax transcript can actually serve as proof of your self-employment income, which can be super helpful if you're applying for loans or credit cards or even government assistance programs.
That's really good to know.
What else?
Okay, let's say you need to amend a previous year's tax return.
Okay.
Maybe you realize you made a mistake or you forgot to include some income or a deduction.
It happens.
It happens. Well, having a copy of your transcript for that year can actually make that amending process much smoother.
Okay.
Because it gives you a really clear picture of what you originally filed.
Okay.
So you don't have to go digging through old records and trying to recreate everything.
Makes sense.
Yeah, saves you a lot of time and headaches.
It's amazing how much information is actually in these transcripts. It's like their financial cheat sheet.
I know, right? It's all right there. It's all right there.
So much good information.
So much good information. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground here in part 2.
We have. We've talked about what to do if your refund is delayed.
Yes.
We explored some alternative ways to get your transcript if you don't want to go online.
Right.
And we even uncovered some additional uses for these really powerful documents.
It's true. But there's still more to come. We'll be back in part 3 with some pro tips
Oh, yes. Pro tips are coming.
on how to use your tax transcript to make even smarter financial decisions all year round, not just during tax season.
That's right. We're going to level up that financial game.
I am so ready. So be sure to join us for part 3, where we'll unlock even more secrets that are hiding in those IRS tax transcripts. And until then, happy decoding.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back, deep divers. We are in the home stretch of our journey into the world of IRS tax transcripts.
We made it.
You know, I have to say, I am looking at those envelopes from the IRS in a whole new light now.
That's great to hear.
Not with fear anymore, right?
No more fear.
Because we've learned how to, access them, understand them,
Yeah.
even use them to maybe troubleshoot some refund delays.
Absolutely.
But you hinted at something in part 2 that I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
You said that we can use these transcripts to make smarter financial decisions, not just during tax season, but all year round.
That's right.
So I am ready to level up my financial game. Let's talk about that.
Okay, let's do it. So I want you to think of your tax transcript kind of like a financial checkup, right? It's like a snapshot of your overall financial health, at least when it comes to your taxes.
Okay.
You can see your income, your withholdings, any credits you've claimed, any payments you've made.
It's like a personal financial report card from the IRS.
It is, exactly. And just like you'd review your grades to see where you could maybe improve,
Okay.
you can use your transcript to see if you're on track with your tax planning.
I like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So give me an example, like how would I specifically use my transcript to, improve my tax planning?
Okay, so let's say you're one of those people who get a big fat refund every year.
Oh, yeah, it feels so good, right?
It was amazing, like winning the lottery.
It does.
But here's the thing, that big refund, it might actually mean that you're overpaying your taxes throughout the year.
Wait, really? I always thought a big refund was like the goal.
I know, a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
But you're essentially giving the government an interest-free loan.
Oh.
Wouldn't you rather have that money in your own pocket throughout the year where you could be using it to save or invest or pay down debt?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm guilty of this. I like that big refund, but okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So your transcript can actually help you adjust your withholdings so you're not overpaying.
Okay. How does that work?
So your transcript shows you exactly how much has been withheld from your paychecks throughout the year.
Okay.
You can compare that to your total tax liability and see if there's a big difference. And if you are consistently withholding way more than you owe, then you can adjust your W-4 form with your employer to reduce those withholdings.
So I could potentially be seeing a little bit more in each paycheck.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
And if you're self-employed, your transcript can also help you estimate those quarterly tax payments more accurately.
Okay.
So you're not hit with this big surprise tax bill at the end of the year.
Okay, this is good. This is good stuff.
I know, right? It's all about making that transcript work for you.
My tax transcript is like my secret financial weapon.
That's the spirit.
Okay, so we don't just have to wait until tax season to check this thing, right?
No, absolutely not. You can access your transcripts anytime throughout the year.
Anytime.
Yeah, so think of it as a real-time window into your tax world, you know? You can see if any payments have been applied, if any credits have been posted, if there are any outstanding issues that need your attention.
So I can, like, stay on top of things and be proactive.
Exactly.
Instead of reactive.
You got it. No more waiting and wondering. You're in control.
I love it. I love feeling in control when it comes to taxes, especially...
I think we all do.
I feel like we've officially cracked the code on these IRS tax transcripts.
We have. We've learned how to access them.
Understand them, use them.
Even use them to make some of those smarter financial decisions.
And I'm not scared anymore.
That's the goal.
So next time you see that envelope from the IRS...
Don't freak out.
Don't freak out. Open it. Take a look at that transcript.
Yeah.
Decode the codes.
Yeah, and see what insights you can gain. You might be surprised.
It's true. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of IRS tax transcripts. I hope you're walking away feeling empowered, a little less intimidated.
I hope so too.
And maybe even a little bit excited to check your own transcript.
Yeah, get in there, see what you can find.
See what you can find, because knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.